Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can know Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go.
So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong.
Welcome, all my friends, to the podcast that's celebrating 4 straight Astros wins. Scott Barzilla joined by myself, Tim Costello. What a wonderful Wednesday night we have here, Scott.
So what are we calling the A's these days? Are they just the A's?
I think they're the A's. That or the Sacramento A's.
Sacramento, the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's?
Only time will tell, Scott. But I have an opening question for you. I'm taking back what was once mine, laying my claim. I'm going to ask you this because I will preface my question with my wife and I have been watching Ted Lasso. Just got into it. I know I'm behind. It happens a lot with me. Either way, Jason Sudeikis is absolutely perfect for this role. No one else could play Ted Lasso, in my opinion, the way that he has. In your opinion, is there any actor role that were made for each other more than this, or what other actor role do you think were made for each other in the same line?
Oh, wow. Geez. Could you go with anybody else as Dark Helmet than Rick Moranis?
Probably not. Same can be said for a lot of the Mel Brooks movies, right? Like, the Young Frankenstein. What's his name off the top of my head? It's
Gene
Wilder.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder. He was so he was the epitome of a lot of those roles. But I almost want to think of TV too, like a character that's with you forever, right? Like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, or like you see some of those Office characters and like some of the other people that read for those characters that you see, and you're like, ooh, that would have been weird to see Chris Pratt as Jim.
Well, could you imagine this, though? And this is actually, obviously a true story, but John Belushi was supposed to play Bill Murray's character in Ghostbusters. But, of course, he tragically OD'd. Can you see John Belushi in that role? I mean, to me, Bill Murray just kind of oozes that insincerity and kind of, that I don't think John Belushi would be able to muster.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I'm not a huge Ghostbusters guy. Not one of my favorites. I've tried so many times to watch that movie. It's just like not for me.
I guess. I mean, I saw it in the theater, so I didn't get the sanitized version where they changed it to Wally Wick instead of Dickless.
Fair enough, Scott. Well, let's take a moment, probably a long moment, to talk about the Lance McCullers Revenge Tour. It made a stop against the TBD A's today as Lance gave us 6 12K innings. The 12-6 banger was banging today for Lance McCullers Jr.
Well, that's 2 outings in a row that he's had a lot of swing and miss, that we've seen. I mean, he's still obviously the pitch counts are too high. I mean, he went over 100 pitches in 6 innings. But if he gives you 6 innings and 3 runs, you take that and run away because basically what this pitching staff has turned into is, I don't know, did you ever hear the spawn insane and pray for rain?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
now that's, Valdez and Brown and pray for, I don't know, what rhymes with Brown. I mean, it's that's what this rotation has become. And if McCullers can take that third spot, and you can get Eric Getty back maybe in early July, then maybe you make it through.
Yeah, they mentioned Garcia today was mentioned as he's throwing again. Could be back late July, early August. So, as you said, you get Aaron Getty back early July, mid-July. Then you get Garcia back late July, early August. Hey, as you said, the bats are waking up. And I don't know if you saw Altuve's quote, but he said it was a lot of at the park early taking swings with Cintrone that got him back on track. Scott, how much do you believe Cintrone has to do with Altuve's turnaround? Because Altuve's giving him credit.
Well, I think that maybe there's some rabbit ears going on there, that maybe they're hearing some voices that obviously they must have read my piece in the crawfish boxes and they got nervous.
Obviously.
Yeah, they got nervous, because, people are reading those articles by the dozens. So,
hey, be careful next time you go in the ballpark. You might feel a tap on your shoulder. It's Dana Brown.
Yeah, that's true. But I think probably for Altuve, the move back to second base has been the key. Memorial Day has always been my line of demarcation. We've made it to Memorial Day. Left field was a nice experiment. It didn't work. More importantly, Brendan Rodgers is absolutely gone in the tank. Absolutely in the tank.
And Zach DeZenzo, when giving playing time, is not in the tank. Therefore, Altuve is not needed in left field, right? Like when this was proposed, it was because we missed out on all the potential outfielders that would have made a splash. So our thought was, let's take a roll of the dice on an infielder and move a good bat to the outfield, right? Well, Zach DeZenzo has presented himself as a guy who, if you give consistent playing time to, at least is a 250 hitter with some pop.
Yeah, his OPS is sitting at about 700, and the playing time has been sporadic. Obviously, you're looking in right field. Cam Smith, I would say over the last 3 or 4 weeks, has been a much better hitter. He's at least doing well on the high outside pitch. It used to be a solid blue, and now that heat map, he's starting to get at least that higher outside pitch.
I think you're underselling this. In his last 200 at bats, he's a 293 hitter, Scott.
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, if you look at the heat map, he's figuring out how to work that pitch. And so the only real pitch that gets him is the low and away in the zone, which how many hitters do you know that hit the low and away in the zone well?
Not many. And at the end of the day, if he can just learn to foul it off, that's fine, right? Like, you don't ever have to hit it well. I'll just get a piece of it and foul it off and keep fighting, right? Like, Craig Biggio did such a good job of that. He knew where his weak spots were, and he would fight to foul it off. That's why the low and away slider got him so much, because he was just looking to flick that pitch off and keep going, and it just kept biting away from him.
If you look at Baseball Reference, one of the things I love about them is they have split. And so you can look at what guys have done over the last week, over the last 2 weeks, over the last 28 days. And you look at this team, and virtually all of them that are currently playing are hitting well. The one exception might be Yiner, might have slowed down a little bit. But, Christian Walker has been hitting about 250, 260 with some pop in those last 28 days. Would you take 250 out of Christian Walker?
All day, every day. But unfortunately, he just got hit in the hand today.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. But
X-rays are negative, but, we'll see.
Dubon has been doing really well over the last month. And I'm
a Dubon guy.
And everybody knows how much I love to rag on Dubon. So the fact that he's playing well, I have to come out and I have to admit that he's hitting well now, and he's always been a streaky guy. And so you might as well ride that wave as long as you can.
And what Dubon brings to the table to me is he hits the ball hard the other way, right? Like this Astros team is a different team. but I think it's shaping up really deep, right? Like when you put your best 9 out there, and it's Altuve at second base, DeZenzo in left field, Cam Smith in right field. Right now, it's either Caratini or Yider behind the plate, the other one DHing without Jordan, right? So at that point, DeZenzo's in 8th. Like DeZenzo is a pretty, again, he's had consistent playing time this season. He had a stretch where he was playing consistently, swung the stick well. Then then we're back to Brendan Rodgers' time, and he doesn't get as much playing time, but he did hit a home run today. And he's hitting like 250 on the season. That is better than Brendan Rodgers. He has more pop than Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is not playing Gold Glove second base. The whole point of bringing him in was to improve the defense at second base over Altuve, because Altuve's defense has gone from to bad to very worse. But at the end of the day, if he's terrible, why are we playing another terrible asset who can't hit over a hot Altuve and have a guy who can actually climb the wall and make a catch in left field instead of Altuve? I appreciate the attempts, I really do, but he's got no chance on anything up against the Crawford boxes. And it's embarrassing at this point that we keep trotting the Hall of Famer out there.
Well, and I think you've got enough maneuverability where you can DH Altuve on some days, but Dubon at second. Dubon is going to
Dubon at second. Yes, Rogers DFA needs to happen, Scott.
And if you want to give DeZenzo a day off, or you want to give Smith a day off, you can throw Chaz out there every now and then. Chaz this year, as opposed to last year, at least seems to be playing at a replacement level.
He's a fourth outfielder this year, right? Like he is a legitimate fourth outfielder.
But if you want to sit there and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give each of, DeCenzo and Smith, and every once in a while Myers a day off. You can give McCormick one spot start in each of those places, and you're giving him 3 days a week. So he should be able to build up some sort of a rhythm while the other guys are still playing the majority of the time.
Yeah, I just don't want Cam Smith getting many days off right now. I feel like this is every at bat is so valuable for this guy because he soaks it up so much, right? Like I feel like he gets better literally every single game. Like he gets better in game. Like you're not going to fool him twice with the same pitch, right? Like I remember early on in Jordan's career, there was an at bat where he got fooled badly by like a low and away changeup, and then it was his rookie year actually, and the pitcher went right back to it because he fooled him once. He went right back to that low and away changeup, and Jordan golfed it into right center field for a home run into the bullpen. And it was like you see something in this guy because he learns minute bat. Okay, that's what you got with that pitch. Don't come in here with that again. And I see some of that, maybe not to the same exact level, but I see that in Cam. I see a guy who, if you get him early in the game with something, it's okay, I see what you got. And then he comes back up the second, third time around, and the at-bats are extremely competitive. He's hitting the ball hard. He's squaring stuff up. He's balanced at the plate. His follow-through is balanced. He's hitting it hard the other way. Like, he's taking what the pitcher's willing to give him. Like, this is a guy who every single day is showing us why he was the main part of that Kyle Tucker trade. And he's showing us that he's a guy who could be here to stay for a long time.
Yeah, and I think what I would compare him to, I wouldn't compare him to Jordan. I think I would compare him more to a young Springer.
He reminds me of a young Correa in the approach, but similar thought, yeah.
But I think athletically, because he has that speed. So I don't know if you saw this, but he actually rated according to outs above average, is the number one rated outfielder in.
Was it one?
Yeah, +4.
I thought it was fourth, yeah. Okay. Oh, it was +4. That's what it was. +4 is number one. Yeah. I mean, he has a chance to put up a 4-WAR season this year.
Yeah. So I think, we got to like what you got there. Paredes, I mean, I'll get to him later. But, I like what we've seen so far. My goal was to be 500 at Memorial Day. I think we've certainly ironed out kinks in the bullpen. I think we have a good system going there. So the question is, can we spackle enough pitching together in the rotation to get through July?
I think so. I really do, and I'm curious because there has to be a move made, right? Like I think when you look at where you are, this division specifically, this is, was it fair to say a two, maybe a 3-man race if the Angels keep it up, but like it's the Astros and the Mariners and possibly the Angels, right?
Yeah.
It's a winnable division. It's a gettable division. The team that's ahead of you, the Mariners, you handled business against them. You looked really good every time you played them. I need an arm or two, Dana. If I'm Joe Espada, hey Dana, I need an arm. Last year you went and got me Kikuchi. That worked out fantastic. Please do something like that again. And now let's look at what that package for Kikuchi was. Everybody freaked out. La Perfido is in AAA again. Blau is,
Wagner's in AAA too, I think.
Both of them, and then the starter Bloss it was.
Yeah.
Tommy John.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I mean, at the end of the day, you didn't pay a huge price for those guys. Like they were high name prospects, but like the Astros farm system isn't that great. So like prospects that you're giving up right now, like yes, they're high in the Astros farm system, but like we're not stacked. So like, well, if you gave up Durden for somebody, right? Like, would it really hurt? Would it really hurt to give up, Bryce Matthews at this point? Like, where's he going to play? And is he really in the baseball 100? Where is he? Is he an Astros top prospect? Sure. But like, at the end of the day, like we're not that deep in AAA. We've got a pretty, like the infield is pretty much set. Like Altuve's not going anywhere for another few years. Paredes isn't going anywhere. Hopefully Pena's not going anywhere. And you got 2 more years of Walker. So, where's Bryce Matthews going to play?
Well, and I think the big key, and this is where the Rockies and their general manager and their ownership are committing just absolute baseball malpractice. Because if you were them, so you're familiar with Kyle Freeland and Herman Marquez, right?
I mean, somewhat. I know they're Major League Baseball players.
They're middle of the road pitchers, right? They've been up about 5 or 6 years. They usually come in with an ERA around 5, which in Denver is mediocre. If you were them, would you take, let's say, Pedro Leon?
I mean, probably.
But
I'm not them, right?
Well, what I'm thinking is like, okay, so Pedro Leon is a guy that has always been toolsy, but has always been a guy that has a ton of swing and miss. But he's a guy that you need to throw him in the outfield for like 2-3 months and just see what you have. There's no better environment in baseball to do that in than Denver. Because if he comes out hitting $150, who gives a shit? You know what their record is right now, Tim?
Well, you said they had to win 37 in a row to go at 500 baseball. So
they lost.
I know they're below.
They lost
38.
They are 9-47.
Not great.
Well, so to me, if I'm them, like I would pick out an outfielder or just a young, decent arm. Like, if you were to get like Kyle Freeland, would you give up Colton Gordon?
No.
He's
actually looked okay. He looked like he's kind of who I would want to keep running out of all these guys, man. Like,
so would you give up, like you mentioned Durden? Would you give up a Durden?
Yes, in a heartbeat. If it got me a quality major leaguer, I don't think Durden's a major leaguer. Like, I think he's a major leaguer. I'm sorry, I don't think he's an Astros major leaguer. I think he could be an A. I think he could be a Rocky. I think he could probably play for the Pirates. There's plenty of teams who he could play for. But right now, even with a giant hole in left field going into the season, where you moved a Hall of Famer from second base to left field, you never thought about, hey, maybe this could be the guy. Like, that was never even a possibility. What does that tell me?
Yeah, and to me, a Kyle Freeland or Herman Marquez would be a guy that I think would give you 5 innings, 3 runs. Pretty much consistently. Now, is that a guy you want starting a playoff game? Hell no. But if you
But
get
you eat innings until the guys that you want to start playoff games get back.
Yeah, you've got Arrighetti. If Arrighetti comes back, he's your 4th starter. If McCullers continues to get better, you've got 4 playoff starters right there. And that doesn't even include Garcia, doesn't even include Javier, who I think would also come back probably in August. So to me, you just want a guy that can go out there for a month, 2 months, and give you 5-6 innings of decent baseball.
I don't disagree. I really don't disagree. Because as hard as we've been, you know what's crazy, Scott? As hard as we've been on Centron, right now the Astros have a 261 team average. They're number 3 in the league. They're averaging nearly 9 hits a game, 8.96. They're number 2 in the league. They strike out 7.31 times a game. That's 3rd fewest. And the team OPS is 739, top 10, number 8. A team that I mentioned I want to compare this ball club to is the San Francisco Giants, because I think the Giants have right now a slew of underperformers. Willie Adames has not been good. Matt Chapman has not been good. They're just down in general, right? Their team batting average is 239. They average 8 hits a game. They average just over 1 home run a game. They're striking out almost 9 times a game. And they have 89 weighted run WRC plus, right? When you look at their lineup, Wilmer Flores is doing like a majority of the heavy lifting, but Adames is hitting 210. Lamont Wade Jr. hitting $161. Matt Chapman hitting 220. They've got 30 wins.
You got Chung Ho Lee, which I think is a pretty good player,
hitting 260, but his hard hit ball rate is like 36%.
Mike Yastrzemski's not bad.
But what I want to point to, because I switched to T-Mobile. I don't know if that matters for this conversation, but I switched to T-Mobile, and with that, you get the MLB TV package, right? And a lot of nights, like my wife is a Giants fan, so I just generally pay attention to what they're doing. After the Astros game ends, I will put the Giants game on. They're so much better situationally than the Astros are. It's maddening, Scott. Like, yes, some of these guys are hitting 220, but with a runner on second base and nobody out, they hit the ball on the ground to the right side and get that run to third base. Then the next guy up gets a sacrifice fly. Like, they create runs and they play small ball and they do the little things really, really well. It kind of shines a light on some of the things that we talk about, because I feel like the Astros have a lot of guys, and here's where I get frustrated with Cintron, okay? He may help a guy who's a free swinger. He may help a guy like Altuve. He doesn't necessarily go up there with a true plan. Like, Altuve is kind of a hunter. I think you'd agree. Like, he's looking for a pitch to hit and he hunts it, right? Like, we don't have a lot of good situational hitters. Like, we don't have guys other than maybe Mauricio Dubon who you can say hit the ball hard on the ground to the right side and they're going to do it, right? Like, I don't think we have a ton of those guys in our lineup. Like, everybody's looking for a pitch to hit hard, and I get it. But like, there are times where you got to find a way to get that runner over. And that means a hard hit ball to the second baseman with a runner on second, nobody out. That means not striking out with a runner on third and less than 2 outs in the inning, finding a way to get a ball medium deep when you've got mostly good speed on this team, right? Like, those are things that I feel like the Giants do really well. Like, their pitching staff isn't considerably better than ours. Justin Verlander was terrible to start the season. He's starting to figure it out now, but he wasn't a world crusher, right? Like, this is a team that somehow finds a way to win a lot of games that it feels like the Astros maybe earlier in the year found a way to lose.
I think there's a couple of things going on. I think number one, and you've been to that ballpark. We've both been to that ballpark.
Beautiful ballpark.
Beautiful ballpark, but that's a tough place to hit.
Sure.
And I think what teams,
especially early in the year when it's chilly.
I think what smart teams, hell, we were there in July and it was cold. I think what smart teams do, and I think the Astros have done this. is I think they do a good job of building a team around the park that they're in. So you think about two of our major acquisitions of Isaac Paredes, I want to call him Isaac, and Christian Walker. What are their hitting profiles?
Pull hitters.
Gee, I wonder why we added those guys. And so where I think the Giants have done is the Giants have added hitters that are probably more prone to be able to do those things because that's what the ballpark demands. Now, if you look at that team, now Verlander has been bad, but let's look at what they've done well. Logan Webb is a good pitcher. Robbie Ray has come back healthy and is a good pitcher. He's pitching kind of like he did when he won the Cy Young Award when he was in Seattle. And then you have, who was that guy? Jordan, the guy that was the reliever. They turned into a starter.
Webb?
No, not Logan Webb. It was Jordan something.
Oh, Hickson?
Yeah, Hicks. Yeah. So there's three solid starters right there. And I'm just going off the top of my head. Now Verlander's on the shelf right now. He's on the 15-day DL. So we'll have to see how long he's going to be out for. But the funny thing is when he went on the shelf, he had over 50 innings pitched. He was at a pace when he went on the DL to be close to 200 innings. So they have managed to figure out a way to cobble together good pitching, which is something the Astros do. And their bullpen is pitching well, which is something the Astros are also doing. So I think a lot of it is construction of your roster based on what your situation is.
I don't disagree with you. I don't. But I'm just pointing out a team that is also maybe underperforming at this point in the season offensively. Like, I mean, just when you look at like what they're doing, they're seventh. The Giants are 17th in runs, 20th in batting average. They're bottom 5 in weighted runs created. They're towards the bottom in hard hit rate. And again, their big acquisitions. And Adames is hitting below 200 right now.
Yeah.
Like if I told you all that and then said, where do you think this team is? And I told you they're second place right in the heart of the hunt. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Well,
and
not only in that division too.
Right. In a division with the Dodgers, with the Padres, and with a good Diamondbacks team. So, I just pointed out to show that you can create runs in ways that the Astros fail at, right? Like, to me, even in some of our best years, we were not great situational hitters. Like, Altuve is a free swinger. Like, he is Vlad Guerrero in a much smaller body, essentially, right? Like, there's no pitch that Altuve cannot hit. But because of that, Altuve fucking swings at everything. We don't have an Alex Bregman anymore who just could envision the strike zone with his eyes closed. Paredes is good, but he's a pull hitter. Walker, pull hitter. Pena, I love him in the leadoff spot, I think, but he's kind of into that hunting. He's better patiently, but I don't see him as a guy who hits the ball the other way on purpose. That guy, we just don't have those guys. We're not, as you said, we're not built that way, but we were at one point, I'd argue. We had a Michael Brantley who you could tell him hit the ball here and he'd drop it there, right? Like, we've had guys like that before. We just don't have them anymore.
Well, and the question I would ask, and I did write the article in Crawfish Boxes saying that we should fire him, but the question I would ask is it the chicken or the egg? Is it that you got guys who just don't do those things? Or is it that you're not teaching them to do those things? Because I feel like you drop Michael Brantley anywhere and he would be Michael Brantley. You drop him in any city, he'd be Michael Brantley. And if you
I feel like when you drop Michael Brantley in, you get another hitting coach and it masks whoever your actual hitting coach is.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that when you put hitters in your lineup that do those things, then your teams are going to tend to do those things. Like when you put in guys like Paredes that walk a lot, well, you're going to walk more. And lo and behold, this year our walks are up because you put in guys like him and Walker that walk more often. So is it a question of, do you need a hitting coach that emphasizes these things? Or as a general manager, do you need to be out hunting for those guys that are better situational hitters?
Let me answer that question by telling you a little story. There's this guy. His name was Gus Cantrell. Okay, he was a former big leaguer. He was then asked by his friend, who is also a former big leaguer, now owned the Minnesota Twins by the name of Roger Dorn, to manage a minor league team called the Buzz. Okay, because there was this player named Billy Downtown Anderson, who all he wanted to do was go downtown, Scott. Like, he was a home run hitter. All he wanted to do was go downtown. But what Gus Cantrell did is what he taught him how to be a complete major league hitter. And they actually brought, this is true, again, this is a somewhat true story from a movie. They brought Downtown up too early before his coaching was complete, and they sent him back down. And then in a situation where Billy Anderson is like, hey, coach, do you want me to hit the ball on the ground to the right side, try and move this runner over? And he's like, nah, man, I want you to go downtown. And then he hits a fucking homer, Scott, because of the coach. Long story short, it's the coaching of Gus Cantrell that taught Billy Downtown Anderson in Major League 3 back to the minors / true story that I just told, that the coaching can be the issue.
Is it sad that...
At what point did you figure out that I was talking about Major League 3 back to the minors? Was it as soon as I said Gus Cantrell?
Gus Cantrell, yep. Did you see my head and my hands? That's the point. But that's the ultimate question, though, is that, since we make fun and that's a movie, how real is that?
I think it's real. Like, I do think, like, at the end of the day, like, that's the approach that the coaching staff instills, right? Like, because it is a team mindset. When you're willing to sacrifice your at bat to hit the ball on the other side, knowing that you're going to be out and it's going to hurt your batting average a little bit, but the team's going to eventually hopefully get a run from it because the guy behind you is going to find a way to get him in because there's less than 2 outs, right? Like, if I can get a base hit out of my ground ball the other way, awesome. If not, I move my guy over. Like, that's just got to be a buy-in from day one. And honestly, when you're meeting with free agents, that's probably something you talk about. Hey, here's how we do things on the Giants. We care about small ball. We know this is a tough place to hit. We're going to pay you now. We're going to pay you a lot of money. Your batting average may not always be great, but we appreciate that you do X, Y, and Z well, and we want you to buy in and do it well here.
Well, what I'd like to see in Houston is I'd like to see guys like I think we referenced this. Did we reference this on the air a couple of weeks ago? The at bat where Chaz comes up and is being asked to bunt, whiffs on the first 2 bunts, and then ends up striking out. I mean,
no, we talked about it.
But to me, if you're a Chaz McCormick and you're playing 2 days a week, you've got to do the little things.
Yep.
And if you're Dubon, which I think Dubon can do, the only thing Dubon really can't do is, like, if you tell him, go up there, I want you to draw a walk. That's not going to happen. That's just not happening. But if you'd be probably better off doing Rudy Stein, or you know what I'm talking about, the Rudy Stein.
No, I do not.
Bad News Bears. You need to lean into
it. Gotcha.
Rudy Stein was the Roger Dorn from Major League 2 before Roger Dorn from Major League 2. He's just like, Buddymakers, just lean into it. It's like, damn it. Man, that's gonna hurt. I don't want to do that's gonna hurt. I don't want to do that.
That's probably like one of the few redeemable scenes from Major League 2 is after Dorn gets hit and he does that like whole display of stretching with the pinch runner in front. All right, Scott. Let's talk. We'll get more back to the Astros, I'm sure, as our accolades get given out. But let's talk about some of the latest Rockets rumors, because I think they're getting out of control, right? Like, the team has kind of said they're happy with the core. I don't necessarily believe it all the way, but you mentioned one before we started our recording tonight of somehow through a series of three-team trades, the Astros end up with Devin Booker and Giannis, and they keep everybody, minus like Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepard, and some future first-round picks. And I don't understand the math on that one, but like this is getting out of control. Like every player who possibly could be moved, the Rockets are a potential landing place. The Rockets are like, it's like they don't even care if they fit what we're doing. They don't care if we have a good player at that position already. They don't care. They're just like, the Rockets have a lot of young, good players that other teams want and a bunch of draft picks. They're a good fit.
Well, I think the culprit here, and I don't know if it's scumbag worthy, but have you ever fired up the ESPN.com trade machine?
I have. It's been a while, but that thing should not exist for random people.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like, well, it works financially, and it's like, yeah. Yeah, it does. Well, so here's my question though. And I heard today that the Spurs are actually interested in Durant. And so they have Fox, they have Durant, they have Wemby, and they're going to somehow keep the number 2 overall pick and get Durant. So let's say they pull that off, right? How long are you willing to wait for this core?
Not very long. I mean, okay, let's also look at it like the Mavericks could be pretty good pretty quick.
Yeah.
The Spurs could be pretty good pretty quick. And like, yes, we had a good season last year, but at the end of the day, we accomplished nothing outside of a good regular season. I'm with you. Like, I don't think moves don't need to be made, right? Like, I love the idea of bringing in a more athletic and maybe better scoring version of a Steven Adams to play next to Sengun, right? Like we kind of got exposed. We kind of got exposed in the Golden State series when they isolated Steven Adams on the perimeter one-on-one. So if you got like the Bam type player, or even if you got Giannis and played him at the center, quote unquote, in your starting lineup, or at least defensively, he's your center. Then at that point, you could do those type of things. But, outside of that, like it's very hard to see where they would go other than moving Jalen Green and getting a more consistent score.
Well, there was a name that was mentioned who is a free agent. Can I interest you in Clint Capella as a backup kind of in a Steven Adams role?
Not in the Steven Adams role, because I think Steven Adams is better at that than Clint Capella is at this point. Like Steven Adams is not a bad basketball player. Like if I can't improve on Steven Adams, I want Steven Adams back. But I'm saying in a dream scenario, if I'm going to move Jalen Green, like when we're talking about this, we were trying to find a way to move Jalen Green and get better and build around the idea of Amen Thompson and Alfred Sengun, right? Like that's what we were looking at. And in that scenario, we picked up, in this dream world, we went and picked up Malik Beasley. He was a great three-point shooter. Yeah. And that is where the outside scoring was coming from. So if I go get, a Clint Capella, it doesn't help me there, right? Like I'm trying to go get somebody elite who can give me points, who can demand attention down low, but also play the defensive spot, right? Like if I go get Giannis, like I can play Giannis in the post, right? Like he can post up, he can kind of be my center, he can isolate around the wing, he can bring guys out. Like I could find a way to make it work if Giannis is the 5 in my lineup. I don't want him playing us the 3, but like I could find a way to make it work if he and Amen are my 2 main ball handlers and everybody else is shooters.
So I guess, with Capella, that would be like a mid-level exception kind of thing. I don't think it would be like your main addition, but I think a larger question is if we take Sengun out of the discussion, who do you think is more likely to be a star in between Amen Thompson and Jalen Green?
It's Amen Thompson, and it's Amen Thompson 1,000 times, right? But I also think, like, I hate to say this, like, I feel like maybe we've got 2 Pippins, right? Like, I think both those guys are like, I think Amen's a star. I think he's a star, but he's not the best scorer on a team type of star, right? Like Amen does everything well other than shoot the basketball, but Amen can drive. He can dish it. He can rebound. He can D up. His court vision is fantastic. But like Amen's not a LeBron 36-6 guy, right? Like that's just not who he is. Amen will shine as a star, but I think his star power is making others around him better, right? Like he's Chris Paul, but he doesn't shoot as well. Like that's what he is. He's lanky, he's long, he plays great defense, he rebounds better, he's got the court vision. He's just not a shooter. So because of that, like he needs Batman. He needs that guy who he can defer to kind of in those prime moments to just go get a bucket, right?
And I think your comparison to Pippen actually is a pretty apt one because, Pippen, as you know, played 1 year in Houston. Something I didn't know, he was first team All-NBA defense in the 1 year he was in Houston.
Pippen's always been a phenomenal
player,
right? Like Pippen was an MVP level player without Jordan, but like the Bulls didn't win the championship.
He was a guy, he would average maybe 21, 22 a game. So do you...
He went for like 30 a game without Jordan that 1 year.
I'm not sure about that, but have to look that one up. But what do you think is Amen's ceiling?
Like 20 points a game, maybe 18 to 20 a game, not, 8 to 9, 29 and 8, something like that, like a 28 and 8 kind of guy.
So, if we were to compare that to somebody, who would that even compare to? Is he a Jimmy Butler?
I hate that I'm going to say this because it's not quite the same, but it's almost offensively, if he could develop a jump shot, his game is very similar to LeBron.
Well,
he's a wing who likes to have the ball in his hand. He can get to the rim. He has fantastic court vision. He's an unbelievably good passer. He's a fantastic athlete. Again, LeBron developed a reliable jump shot, and Amen does not have that.
Yeah, the one name I heard him compared to was actually interesting was SGA. Obviously,
those guys are better shooters, man.
Well, if he were to develop a jump shot, but see, then the question then becomes, which I think he shot better this year than his rookie year. So
he did.
How long can we reasonably expect to wait until he becomes a proficient shooter?
I don't think you have to wait for that. You start now building around him, and
right. But
as he develops a jump shot, it's an added bonus. But right now, anybody that you bring in needs to be a shooter. If you don't shoot 38% from beyond the rim and you're not a center, I'm sorry, you don't fit what we're trying to do. Because my best player is not a three-point shooter. So I need guys that complement what he does, right? Like Jalen Green, I'm sorry, your timeline doesn't match with what the Rockets want to do right now, in my opinion, right? Like we don't have another year to let Jalen Green kind of work through whatever the fuck happened in the playoffs this year. Like we don't have that. Like I want every time that Jalen Green had the ball in clutch moments, that should have been Amen. Those possessions should have gone to Amen Thompson, right? Because that's development that he didn't get. And like I'd like to go look at maybe because I think I said it. I'm not going to back down from it. I think LeBron comparison is fair, just from the offensive styles, right? Like LeBron wasn't an amazing. LeBron was not a good jump shooter, period, when he got into the league, right? But no one can ever say LeBron doesn't grind. Like I don't care if you love LeBron, if you hate LeBron. LeBron grinds. LeBron puts the work in. LeBron developed a jump shot. If Amen can do that, I see no reason he couldn't be a 27, 7, and 7 guy. Like if Amen shot 33% from three and was a 80% free throw shooter, could you not see him being 27, 7, and 7?
Yeah, the only difference I would say between him and LeBron is just I think LeBron is able to be more physical.
His body type, for sure.
He could post up guys a little bit more than I think Amen. I mean, Amen has the length.
Amen's a child, though.
But
Amen also is 20 years old. Like, get LeBron's diet or whatever they joke about. Like, LeBron came in pretty skinny, too.
I think what kills me is I see all these comparisons online where here's what Jalen Green did at age 22, and here's what Dwayne Wade did at age 22. And it's like, Dwayne Wade was a rookie when he was 22.
Yeah.
And he took the Heat to a first-round playoff, win. So he upped his game in the playoffs. He didn't shrink in the playoffs.
I think the age comparison is like, okay, yeah, it helps keep things in perspective, but also like this was year 4 for Jalen in the NBA, right? Year 5, you're saying? Year 5 for Jalen?
No, it's
year 4. Year 4 for Jalen in the NBA.
Year 1.
Right. Like that matters more to me than your age because you're supposed to be absorbing things. You're supposed to be dying to get the ball in the playoffs. Like you got a fat extension. You're the guy. Like you went for 38 in game 2. Like, okay, let's fucking cook, baby. And then like the first sign of it's not happening, you shrunk faster than George Costanza in a cold pool. Like it was awful. And I'm not saying guys can't bounce back from that, but it makes me look at this roster and say, okay, if I'm looking around the West and the Mavericks are going to have, AD and Cooper Flag and Klay Thompson,
eventually
at some point Kyrie, and I've heard rumor that, Chris Paul could potentially go there so he could play until Kyrie gets back. That's not a bad ball club right there. And then, as you mentioned, the Spurs are interested in Durant. They could try and keep the number 2 pick. I'd love to see if there's a chance. I don't know if it's possible, but if he falls to 10, and you've got the kid from Maryland, man, I don't know if it'll happen, but that would be the type of player that I'm talking about, of a guy who can give you 15 and 10, who's an athletic center. He's got a jump shot, who could play next to Sengun. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure his sister is a really good player as well. But the center from Maryland was really, really a guy who could be a BAM type of player. That's the only reason I'd keep my pick at 10. Otherwise, go get me LJ Cryer. But I just don't see a way the Rockets can compete with that firepower in the West without making a move. Because I do believe Jabari Smith is a guy who we can grow on. Like I think he could be an Aaron Gordon type player as he continues to grow. Like we saw what Aaron Gordon was able to do for the Nuggets as a tweener forward. He can play the 3, he can play the 4. He's an integral part of what they do. Again, I love Jabari's game. I think he's got a silky smooth jumper. To me, right now, Jalen Green is the odd man out. And if I'm trying to find a way to get better, he's the most tradable asset I have that other teams are going to want. Other teams that want to tank, but want to still find a guy who can, he can be your Kevin Martin. He can put up 20. He can put up 20 points on a losing team.
Yeah, I mean, you could go him. You can go Cam Whitmore. You could go probably Reed Shepherd. Although, I mean, I might want to keep him around just
I want to keep Reed right now,
just in case he figures out his shot. But what the struggling is that if you're replacing him with a wing player that can shoot, who is that guy out there? You mentioned Malik Beasley.
I'm blowing my wad on him personally.
But if you get Beasley, would you then swing the deal for Giannis?
Yeah. Because then I'm having Giannis play the 5. Like I'm starting Giannis at and this, it doesn't really matter because they're playing positionless on offense, right? Like they're floating around, they're handling the ball, but it's Giannis and my backcourt, or my front court is Giannis and Sengun down low. Either Dylan Brooks or I prefer even Jabari Smith at the 3 at that point, with Malik Beasley and Amen Thompson.
So is Amen your point guard?
Essentially.
Oh.
Amen's my main ball handler in this scenario.
Does that mean if Fred VanVleet's gone?
Or, in that case, that Amen plays the 3 and VanVleet's back at the 1.
I mean,
honestly, the best thing going for VanVleet is the fact that we can have him opt in and trade that $40-something million contract. And it's an expiring contract. Like his expiring contract is an asset right now.
Well, if you went, so go back in time before you were born, Tim. 1986. Do you know about that season in Rockets lore?
That's the Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Twin Towers season where they lost to the Celtics in the finals.
Well, see, here's what happened in that season. They had a dynamite point guard who started the season. He was a guy by the name of John Lucas.
Got caught with a little baggie or something, didn't he?
He got caught with the white lines. So they ended up going with Robert Reed as their primary point guard. Robert Reed was 6'8". He was kind of like your 80s version of Amen Thompson. He wasn't really a ball handler, but he was the best they had. But see, what that team had is they had a guy by the name of Alan Level, who was not a great point guard, but he was a guy that you could throw in there for 10 or 15 minutes a game that could steady the ship. And so if you want to go with Amen at the 1, I could see that because you have enough you have enough distributors in that starting lineup to where it can work.
I mean, he or Giannis are going to want the ball in their hands realistically.
What I would want, though, is I'd want somebody on that roster who's capable of playing 10 to 15 minutes at the point in games where things are just, things are getting a little rocky.
And I'll give you a guy that you can go get that's not very expensive, who I think would fit that role very well. You have to trade something for him, probably get him for a second-round pick. Marcus Sasser, okay? Guy was on the Pistons this year. I know I talk about UH Cougars a lot, but he's a good shooter, plays good defense, a guy who would be a good 10 to 15-minute backup. He's a perfect backup NBA point guard because he can shoot the three. He can come in and knock some shots down off the bench. Him and Reed Shepherd would actually pair very well together on if you want to go with a smaller backcourt and move him into the 3.
I don't feel good about Reed Shepherd at the 1.
I don't either. But again, I feel okay with it if it's a Derek Fisher type situation where Kobe handled the ball all the time, but yes, Derek Fisher was the point guard, right?
Yeah. And so to me, what was great about Alan Level, if I recall correctly, is that he knew where his bread was buttered. He knew there were 2 primary scorers on the team, and it was Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon. He was not out there Dylan Brooksing it, firing up 20 shots a game going, hey, I'm Alan Level. He understood who the guy was. And so to me, you mentioned Derek Fisher. The key to Derek Fisher was what he could do, but the key is that he didn't try to do more than what he could do.
Right. He was there to play defense, and if they doubled Kobe, his job was to knock down the open look, right?
Yeah.
And if Reed could figure that out, like if Reed plays and he knows that I'm here to play defense on the point guard, and if they double Amen, I need to knock down my shots. Okay, I'm fine with that, right? Because that's the whole point of drafting your ass was because you can shoot the fucking 3.
Yeah.
If you can't figure that out and you start trying to run like high pick and pops for yourself and come off high screens jacking shit up, then get the fuck off the court, right? Like, because I get it's garbage time and everybody getting their shots up, but like I saw a lot of Reed Shepherd coming off high picks, just jacking up threes in garbage time. So I don't want to see that. He's not JJ fucking Redick running baseline all over the place, across the pick just to get an open look, right? Like float, my bro. Like float on the outside. If he gets doubled, step up and knock your shit down. That's what you're here to do.
Yeah. All right. Is it time for some awards?
I'm down to give a couple awards away, Scott. It's always award season here. And we're giving people, right? Like you and I are we're givers. And we like to make sure that everybody feels appreciated. But let's give it away, Scott. Time for the pow, right in the kisser. What do you got for us this week?
Punch in the throat for me. I am going with AT&T. So let me tell you this saga, Tim. So I told you that we had somebody build a new part of our fence. He ended up cutting the internet wire. These things happen. He also damaged a thing we had for our plants in the backyard too, but that's okay. No big deal. The fence looks good. It was a fair price, so I'm not going to crack down on anybody. AT&T came out, fixed the line. It was nice. That was April 3rd, Tim. April 3rd. So we're going out in the backyard. We're cutting some more trees, and Janet's like, I noticed it's late April. Nobody's buried the line. Hey, can you get on the horn and see what's going on there? Because the guy told us, somebody will come out in a few days. So I call up, first by tech. I called him and left 3 messages because he said, hey, if you have any issues, give him a call. Left 3 messages, no calls back. So I went to the guy that tried to sell us new phone service. I called him up and he says, okay, here's what you do. You call up the buried line number. So I called them up, and this was on a Wednesday. And they said, okay, we'll send somebody out there the next day. Thursday come, nobody comes to bury the line, Tim. So on Thursday, I called up and I said, hey, nobody came to call to bury the line. Can y'all actually send somebody out here to bury the line? They said, oh, sure, we'll come out Saturday. They give me the 4 to 8 time slot. 4 comes, 5 comes, 6 comes, 7 comes, 7:30 comes, 8 o'clock comes. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do it. So I call them back. Okay, we'll send somebody out there Monday. All right, so then we're waiting till 7 o'clock on Monday. And the guy comes in, he goes, I can't bury the line. I'm going to have to get somebody else to come out here to do it. He says, but the guy who originally installed your internet, he installed the wrong kind of cable. So I'm going to have to reinstall that. So if you remember, you were complaining about some outages. Maybe that was responsible, Tim. Could be, when we had some kind of internet glitches there for, a few weeks. But, long story short, finally, last week, they buried the line. And it is what? It's May 29th? Not bad, AT&T. 7 weeks. Good job on customer service.
Touche. Yeah, that's yeah, I would want to punch somebody right in the throat for that one, Scott. But whew, that's a doozy. You had me up and down, a twisting tail. Yeah, okay. I would like to personally punch Dan Patrick right in his fucking face so goddamn hard. This man gets so much money from the private prison corporation. He gets so much money from alcohol lobbyists. And he lined up a selection of, at this point, legal THC edibles that you can buy with, proper identification. And you would have thought that he took down the fucking Medellin cartel with this bill. As every lawmaker, Republican lawmaker, stands behind them smiling, acting like they've done something, other than strip 5,000 jobs and $800 million of tax revenue away from the Texas government. But whatever, this guy's a fucking lying piece of shit. That's all that he is. He sits there and talks about keeping our children safe, when in actuality, he just wants more people locked up so that way the people that give him money can make money off of United States citizens being in prison over marijuana offenses. Let's call a fucking spade and say what it is and stop lying. And that's why I want to hit you in the fucking face, because you're a fucking lying piece of shit. That's why. Fuck you, Dan Patrick.
Okay, moment of disclaimer here, folks. I think Tim is talking about Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and not the former.
Oh yeah, the radio host. I have no quarrel. I have no issue with Dan and the Danettes. I think his dulcet tones are lovely.
So just want to make sure everybody is on top of that.
All right, Scott. Let's keep this train rolling around the bend. Who do you have for our horse's ass of the week?
Horse's ass. I'm going to go with. He likes to be known as RG3. I'm just going to call him Robert Griffin III. And I did not really catch on to this because I don't pay much attention to him, but I do work with a couple of African American coworkers, and they pointed this out to me that when he criticized Angel Reese, he made it about race. He made it specifically about black women. I don't have any problems with criticizing Angel Reese. I even saw a stat on Twitter where they call it some of her rebounds me-bounds because it's off of missed layups. So that's, she kind of, I guess padding stats and whatnot. And if you want to criticize her game, if you want to sit there and say that she plays dirty, you want to do this, okay, yeah, you go for it. She's a public figure, that she's a professional now. You make no bones about it, but why are we bringing up all black women? Why are we making, and obviously we're going to start bringing up Caitlin Clark, and why are we bringing up white women? They're two people, they're two individuals. And the thing is I think if you really were to put truth serum in both of them, they'd probably say that they're glad that the other one exists, because it creates a little bit of a rivalry, which creates a little bit more intrigue in the league, which is what the WNBA needs right now. So Robert Griffin III, criticize Angel Reese if you want. That's great, but let's leave the social commentary aside.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got more people watching the WNBA than you've ever had before. There's a pretty funny trend of people that they prop bet every night that Angel Reese will miss her first shot attempt of the night, and they're like 5 nights in a row they're 5 for 5, and they just keep letting it ride every single night. It just keeps growing. But like, yeah, who cares? Like, the numbers are up, and these girls are making more money, and they're getting more exposure. And like, at the end of the day, as a parent to daughters, you and I both, I could hope for nothing best for this league to succeed, right? Like, if my child, like Scotty loves playing with her little basketball. Like, if she wants to be a WNBA player, I would want the league to be in good shape when she gets there. Like, I want people to talk about her game. Like, that's it. If she had a bad night, okay, whatever. As you said, if you don't like the way she plays, fine. People talk last shit about Draymond Green. I fucking hate Draymond Green. Like, hey, maybe she's the WNBA's Draymond Green. I don't know. But, like, at the end of the day, she's a pro. She was good enough. She got drafted. She's hanging in there. She's doing her thing. I'm with you. Don't take it to that level. If you don't like her game, you don't like her game. But she doesn't represent anyone but Angel Reese, right?
Yep, exactly.
All right, Scott, I am going to talk about a former Texan, now Patriot, who could not make OTAs this week, but he did make some time to hang out on a boat with a couple fine-looking ladies and what looked like a pink powder is what it's always been described at. So not good. Not good at all. Not making the Patriot way part of your life, but not a strong showing for Mr. Stephon Diggs here this week, Scott.
Yeah, and I think where he's at is, you remember, well, obviously, I think he got cut or he released, but it was like J.D. Clowney there for a while. The best move with J.D. Clowney was to sign him to a 1-year contract because you were going to get the best out of J.D. Clowney. I think we got the best out of Diggs because he was on effectively a 1-year contract. Now he signs a big, what was it, 3 or 4 years with the Patriots?
I think it was 3 years.
So he gets his, big, huge upfront money. He's there for 3 years. He turned back into, I don't give a shit, Stephon Diggs. Because quite honestly, okay, he goes to the Patriots. Do they win 6 games?
I mean, it depends on Drake May. Like, he may be better this year. Like, he showed some signs, but I don't disagree. But let's keep it moving, Scott. I'm going to let you take the lead on the hat tip here. Take us away.
So hat tip, I think you and I are both going with current Astros, and they both deserve, I think, this hat tip. I am going with Isaac Paredes because I think what's really important is that we talked about this before, and I talked about the whole idea of Mike Fiers back in 2017. And the thing was, what happened with Mike Fiers in 2017 was that Mike Fiers, over the course of the whole season, was not good enough to be a postseason pitcher. And so he got butt hurt and he turned in the Astros, and, that one thing led to another. And we know how that story went. But I think what's missed about Mike Fiers in that season is I want to say it was in the month of June. He was the best pitcher the Astros had in the month of June. And I think when you're a championship team, there are going to be players who are going to carry you for weeks at a time who overall might not be great baseball players, but they were great when the team needed you to be. And that's all that makes all the difference in the world. And that's where Isaac Paredes comes in. Nobody would accuse Isaac Paredes of being a great baseball player. He hasn't been a great baseball player in Tampa Bay. Got traded to Cubs. He was horrible in Chicago. But overall, he's been a good baseball player for the balance of his career. He's good because, he can play multiple positions. He can play first. He can play third. Theoretically, he can play second, but we haven't seen him there. He's played a very good third base this year for the Astros. Certainly better than league average and better than he's probably ever done. And for about a 2 or 3 week period there, earlier in May, he was holding this fort together. He was the only guy hitting. I mean, there were games where literally, he would walk off the game. I mean, he did literally have a walk-off home run. But there was, another couple of games where we were doing nothing until I think in one of the Rangers games, he hits a key home run there in the 8th inning. He is the guy that held this thing together while, the Astros were trying to figure out, okay, who's going to hit, where do we play Jose Altuve? Who do we play at second base? What the heck is happening with guys like Yainer Diaz? And so you really didn't have many guys hitting well. You had Jeremy Pena, and you had Yainer, and you had Isaac Paredes. You had Jake Myers. You had those 3 guys that were the guys hitting on this team. And so when you look up at the end of the year, Isaac Paredes might end up being like a 720, 750 OPS kind of guy when all is said and done, because that's the player that he has been over the last several years. But the key is that when you needed this guy most, this guy ended up stepping up huge for you and helping you win some big games, because that series against the Rangers was a huge series. Yes, we split with them, but we were an eyelash of losing 3 out of 4 to what's turned out to be a mediocre to not even mediocre baseball team. We end up winning 3 out of 4 against the Mariners. He was instrumental. I mean, obviously we had more hitters hitting well. Altuve turned around and hit well. Walker turned around and hit well. But these are the games that you start to look at later on in the year, and you start to go like, man, how did we stay in the hunt? Oh, man, look at that key series that we had with the Rangers in May. Look at that key series that we had with the Mariners in May. Okay, that is the way that this team is going to stay in the hunt. And that's, right now, this team, as we're speaking, is sitting, I'm going to check the score. So the Rangers ended up losing again today. And where are the Mariners? And the Mariners are currently losing 6-0 to the Nationals. So if that score holds, your Astros will be a half game out of first. And I was talking about Isaac Paredes, Tim, and I was talking about the fact that, he might end up at a 720, 740 OPS at the end of the season, because that's the player who he has been up to this point in his career. But for a few key weeks in May, he's carried this team offensively. And when you look back,
right?
When you look back at this end of the season, if this team is sitting playing in October, you're going to look at what are some of those key games. All that the Rangers series where we split, we could have lost 3 or 4 very easily in that series. All that Mariners series, we won 3 or 4. We could have easily split that series or lost 3 or 4 there too. So you're going to look at some of those games, and you're going to look at Isaac Paredes and some of the key hits that he had along the way that helped those teams, that helped this team in those games.
I don't disagree with you at all there. I think Isaac's a great choice this week, and I kind of liken it to Yainer Diaz last year, right? Like, I think Yainer ended up, low 800 or whatever, and he's not having a great year this year, but there was a 2 or 3 week period where Yainer carried this ball club offensively, right? Like, Kyle Tucker was hurt. Jordan wasn't playing great ball. This team was very top heavy last year in the lineup. And I feel like Yainer for a week and a half was the best player in baseball and carried this team. So every good team has stretches where certain guys just step up and kind of fill the void. And I think Isaac has done that. But also I think this guy just feels comfortable in this ballpark, right? Like, I think this is a team that wanted him. This is the second time they tried to go get him. And there's a comfort in feeling wanted in that way too.
All right, who you got, Tim?
I'm going to do 2. Since we didn't get to hat tip last week, I had a guy I want to talk about. I'll get to him second. My first hat tip is to my man, Lance McCullers Jr. I I know we mentioned it earlier in the show, 6 innings, 12 Ks today. But when we look back, was it 3 weeks ago? This man was getting death threats after a bad start. And to where he's at now, you and I both talked about just needing caution and taking time to come back. And, now here we are. I'm not saying, hey, he's back, this is it. But, good for him for continuing to fight and continuing to grind and get better and find a way to, get as close to the Lance McCullers as old as we may see, right? The curveball swing and miss is really encouraging to me. The velo, that's great. But Lance, even when he had his best velo, he didn't put guys away with the fastball. He used it to set up the curveball. And so seems like he's found that rhythm again, and I'm happy for him. I could not be more happy for anybody in this process than Lance McCullers, that he's pitching well again and he can contribute to this ball club, because I think at the end of the day, that's all he's ever really wanted since the injury was to find a way to get back and find a way to contribute again. My second hat tip, I'm going to hat tip Adrian Hauser. Okay. Hauser was signed May 20th, I believe it was. Less than the start of the game was supposed to be at 6:25 that night. He's set to pitch. Gets pushed back an hour and a half for a rain delay. So 5 hours later, this guy goes 6 scoreless innings, 2 hits against the Mariners team that currently leads the division by a game. Didn't even know anybody's name. Just throw the pitch that gets put down before him. And, I definitely have to tip my cap to a guy who just found a way to get the job done, right? It's a crazy situation. You get the call, you're getting the start, you got signed. Hey, we need you right away. And you were effective. So I'll tip my cap to that man.
Adrian Hauser, former Astros farmhand, by the way. But also, one of the things I was going to point out with Lance is I think what he's reminding me of right now is Blanco from last year. Because, I'm in addition to guys like Paredes, you need guys that you're like, oh shit, we didn't think we were going to get that. And I think that's who Ronel Blanco was last year. Unfortunately, he's down with TJ, which is your second pitcher in the span of a little over a week to be down with Tommy John surgery. But if Lance McCullers comes in, now think about it. If I had told you on April 1 that Lance McCullers was going to be your number 3 starter, what would you have thought?
Oh shit, probably.
Yeah. But I would say that, and you're right, he's not where he needs to be, but he's getting better every start out. And that's what you want.
I mean, Lance was never a 15 pitch an inning guy. Lance was never really a 7 innings of work guy, minus maybe 1 year. Lance typically throws 18 to 20 pitches an inning. He throws a lot of curveballs. He tries to get guys to chase. He does not have a lot of short at bats, right? That's who Lance is. If you get 5 innings, 5+ innings out of Lance, you take it and you move on, and you know that you have a really good bullpen. And hey, go win the game. But you need guys like that, right? Not every player can be Hunter Brown. This isn't the 2018 Astros starting pitching lineup of Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Dallas Keuchel, Charlie Morton, and Lance McCullers Jr., right? That ain't them. And that team didn't even win the World Series. Didn't even make the World Series. So, every championship team is different. Everyone's made up differently. I'm not saying this is a championship team, but I'm saying that this is a competitive ball club that has a chance to win a division. And once you get to the playoffs, who knows? But I like what I see. I'm tipping my cap to Lance because I'm really proud of him and the work that he's put in to even get back to this point.
All right. Is it
all right, Scott? It's that time. Give it away. The scumbag of the week.
All right. So my scumbag is going to be the Grand Old Party, the GOP. Okay, why are they the scumbag? They're scumbag for any number of reasons, Tim. I mean, how long do we have on this podcast? Can we go 5 hours? I don't think we should. But, let me focus on one thing and one thing only, and that is, what was Monday, Tim?
Memorial Day.
I am tired of these two-faced, dilapidated bullshit artists coming out with their tweets, coming out there, oh, we're doing it for our troops. Who was the party that, denied veterans their benefits?
Republicans.
Who was the party that decided, oh, we're going to hire this, Bond villainous South African to cut government positions?
That'd be the Republicans.
Yeah, and they fired a bunch of veterans, and basically their response, MAGA response, was, "Well, sucks to be you." So wait, sucks to be a veteran that has a job? Okay. So if you're gonna turn around, if that's your stance, that's fine. Okay, own it. You're against veterans. I think that makes you a massive asshole, but you go ahead and you own it. But don't sit there and turn around and go like, oh, thank you so much for your service. We couldn't do it without our troops. We're so thankful for our troops. But when you come back home injured, you can't find a doctor. Sucks to be you. That's not how this game works. Okay, if you're going to thank the people that are risking their lives, protecting your country and your values, you take care of them. It's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum. Okay, you make sure they get their VA benefits. You make sure that when they go to a hospital, it's clean, it's state of the art. You have doctors that actually know what they're doing. You don't bring in, like, say, Dr. Oz to do surgery or some bullshit like that.
Well, to be fair, if Dr. Oz actually just stuck to heart surgery, he would have been a lot better for the world, because he actually was like a renowned heart surgeon and has patents like making heart surgery better. The problem is he got away from doing surgery.
Well, you would have him doing surgery on, podiatry.
That would be a problem. Yeah.
That'd be a problem. So I'm just saying, either you support the troops or you don't.
Well, let me counter this, Scott. They love Memorial Day because they don't have to support those people. This is it. This is the day about the people that died. They don't have to do anything for them. They don't owe them anything. They died. And in the GOP's mind, this is the perfect day. We can truly honor these people because we don't have to give them benefits. They're dead.
So we can't show up to an Arlington Cemetery, I'm going to say performance, because that's what it was. We can't show up there on time.
No.
We can't be bothered to talk about the people that are actually buried there. We're going to talk about the dead. We're going to talk about, God knows what, trophy wives, or that was his. Oh, that's his West Point speech. I'm sorry.
I'll get there.
But it's just unbelievable. Can you fake humanity for half an hour? Can you pull that off?
No. But again, Scott, why would they have to? These fuckers still win. They do all of this, and there are still 77 million people who voted for this shit. There are 77 million people who see everything that you're describing, and like, that's what winning looks like. That's what we want. We want this. It's fucked up. I agree with you. I don't think any of them should take credit for anything, because other than the bad shit, like, they shouldn't get to say anything about the veterans, about the troops, about anything. But they don't care. They don't fucking care. And that's why my scumbag is Donald Trump, right? Like, it's a combination of things. He goes to West Point, takes credit for everybody who's there, even though they all signed up during the Biden administration. But we can explain that by saying they were influenced during Trump's 4 years beforehand. So whatever. And then shakes zero hands. Not a fucking one. Last year, and again, I am very outspoken on this podcast. I am not a Democrat. I am left of Democrats. So I am not a Obama or Biden guy. Like, I like more left-leaning politics than what they brought to the actual table once in office. But I will say, last year, Biden shook every fucking one of those kids' hands. Every single one. Donald Trump did not shake a single hand of the children who are literally foregoing the regular college experience to join your military as enlisted officers, and we all know you're going to start some shit, right? Like these kids are signing up to go fight your fucking wars, and you can't even say, hey, thank you, congratulations, thank you for your service, good luck, stay safe, anything. And of course, the speech, again, was self-serving, self-aggrandizing, all of it. And then how do we cap that off? We have a crypto dinner, which is essentially just a fucking cash grab. And somehow during that process, the Chrisley knows best people who committed massive amounts of $30 fucking million worth of tax fraud, we're going to pardon them because the daughter's a supporter. She gave me $1 million at my dinner. So that fraud is okay. Come on down. Chrisley knows best. Good job whoring your fucking daughter out to get you and mommy out of jail, because that is fucking insane. Insane. $40 million worth of tax fraud those people committed. Can you imagine, Scott, committing a fraud of that level? You and I know that we have plans for the future to help try and make things better, but we never commit fraud. Everything we do on this podcast will always be on the up and up. You can take that with a promise. And with that, Scott, I'd like to talk about a project that you and I are working on. It's become apparent to me that there's a lot of room for exploration in our ocean. And with that, I don't think it should be up to human beings to do the exploration. I think it should be another species. So Scott and I, we looked around, we tried to understand which way to go. And that's why Scott and I are working with or founding an organization called Financing Aquatic Kangaroo Exploration. We are doing the things that no one else out there is willing to do. And we're going to take an invasive species. We're going to teach them how to be submariners. And we're going to learn out what's going on in the water. We can't risk our lives, Scott. Obviously, we have families. But who the fuck cares about kangaroos, right? We've already lost 2 or 3 of them in the process. We had Jumpy, and we had Scratchy, and we had Pokey, who just did not like being underwater. So that's why we need your money. Look at this guy right here. Look at him. He needs your time. He needs your money. We need your help, people. We need you to finance aquatic kangaroo exploration, okay? Look at this gentleman right here on the screen. That's a guy who wants to find the Titanic. That's a guy... Scott, I'll if we get $1 million for this, I will pledge it right now. We'll find Atlantis. If we can get $1 million for financing kangaroo exploration, the kangaroos will find the lost city of Atlantis.
Now, I'm going to tell you that, Tim and I are not going to profit one dime off.
No. This is scientific research.
Now, everything we promise is going to go to equipment.
We need wetsuits, okay? We need kangaroo-specific. The tail hole, we got to figure out how to keep the water out and the tail out and the kangaroo in, okay? That's a problem. We had to figure that out. That costs money. We need submarines that you allow a little hopping, right? Like we as humans walk, kangaroos hop. We have to build a submarine with a trampoline type of floor that the kangaroos can hop around in.
We also have to build it around to where their pouch is, accessible. Mm-hmm. To where they, if they find some of those key treasures that are in the ocean floor, they can just stick them right there in the pouch. I will say this, and we will guarantee this as well. We will provide every investor with a percentage of whatever we make.
Absolutely,
you will get a percentage.
And once we find Atlantis, okay, once we find it, you will be on a very short list of the first people who get to go tour on the kangaroo captain mission, okay? We will put your name into a raffle of the first group of people that get to go down. It's a big opportunity to get on the ground floor. If you're serious about exploring the ocean, And if you are aware of the exploding kangaroo population that Australia is dealing with, this is the only true option. This is it. Outside of that, I don't know how you can even say you care about the planet.
Now, we'll say that, Tim mentioned that we've had some tough losses.
We have.
They were tragic, but we've had a lot of success with hops. Hops has been, so far has had a couple of really promising trials where,
This is Hops on the screen right now. Hops he's a dapper son of a bitch. Okay, look at that. Look at the fucking turtleneck.
And he's been stayed under, I think, at least 20 minutes the last couple of times out.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize, Scott, kangaroos already were great swimmers. Okay, so we were dealing with with a species that enjoys the water. So once we teach them how to, use the breathing apparatus, that's where we lost Jumpy. Okay, he didn't understand the mask once we got him underwater for the exploration. So, but again, invasive species. Okay, we're saving Australia. It's okay. Please, we want your money for science purposes. Send it to f.a.k.e.@gmail.com. So again, it's FAKE dots in between everyone @gmail.com. We really appreciate that. Scott, anything you want to add on financing aquatic kangaroo exploration?
We need some equipment, guys, and we need brain power. We need to hire some engineers. We need to hire some scuba diving experts. We need all these things cost money, people.
Yeah, we can't lead the way without your money. Okay, we need specifically your money because we can't use ours. We can't. It's against the rules. They won't let us. We can't use ours. That's the part of whatever. Some kind of rule with aquatic exploration, you cannot use your own money. So we need your money specifically. Preferably $1 million will get us to Atlantis, is what I've been told. $1 million. So if you want to find Atlantis, we got to fund kangaroo exploration. All right, Scott. We will, of course, be back next week with an update on the kangaroos. Really have high hopes for Jumpy. But we'll see.
Not Jumpy. It will be Hops because Jumpy, we lost Jumpy.
We did lose Jumpy. We had high hopes for Jumpy, but oh well. So long farewell to Jumpy. But Hops, we'll let you know next week. Again, he looked great in the turtleneck. I have high hopes. And again, I only need $1 million from you people to find Atlantis using the kangaroos. All right. We appreciate everybody, and we appreciate our future donors to kangaroo exploration. We're going to do this, guys. We're going to do this. We're going to launch from the Galveston Bay. I think that's a good launching point for exploration. We'll see everybody next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. This is Born on the Bayou Sports.